Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is you're watching this video. Thanks so very much. Why, this is my third attempt of this video. We won't even get into the technical difficulties, so I really hope this one works out. When most brides are talking about what they want as a look for their wedding, they want something classic. They want something that is gonna outlast the test of time. The most requested bridal look of all time. It's a soft glam, slightly smoky eye look that's heavy enough to last all day, but not cakey to look odd in person. There's a lot of requirements when it comes to bridal makeup, and it's always a fine line between going too far and not going far enough. And without further ado,
let's get right to it.
All right, guys, you are all zoomed in. Let me go ahead and just start with the makeup portion. First thing I'm gonna do is do a face primer. So I'm gonna use my Hangover RX from Too Faced, and I'm just gonna put that on my skin. There we go. Just using my beauty spend, I'm just gonna press that in all over. The stuff smells so good. And happy smells make me happy. And that's important on your wedding day. It's like coconutty almost. It smells delicious. I just want to eat it. No, I do not eat face primer. Just FYI. That is done. The next thing I'm gonna do, super important, is I'm actually gonna moisturize my lips. Any chapstick, whatever works, just moisturize your lips. Make sure that they feel good. The reason I do this at the very beginning is so that way that moisturizer has time to sink into those lips, so that by the time that you put your lip stuff on at the very end, you're not dealing with a goopy mess. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna prime my lids using my Shape Tape. Nothing new there. I'm running out and I need more. Part about concealing your eyelids before you start working with eyeshadows on them is really just to create a really nice even surface on them. And then after this, if you want to, you can even add some eyeshadow primer. I'm old school. My favorite primer is the Urban Decay just primer potion. That's my favorite. The original one, no color, just that's my favorite. I think it works fantastically. That's what I would stick to if I was gonna prime my eyelids. I'm out of it. I haven't repurchased in a long time. For me, priming with a concealer works perfectly fine. But if this was my actual wedding day, I may have invested in that eye primer because I really do believe in it. Then comes step number 2, which is kind of part of priming, which is finding an eyeshadow that matches your skin tone or like your face, and setting that primer in place and making your lids as smooth as possible, because this is gonna be really, really important when it comes to blending your eyeshadows. I believe that it makes the whole blending of your eyeshadows that much easier. And let me tell you, girl, you want everything that can be easy on your wedding day to be as easy as possible. I use my Tarteist Pro, my oh so beloved favorite palette. So this has everything I need to work with when it comes for bridal. It has so many neutrals, it has a good smoky regime, it has some shimmers. So this is what I used on my wedding day, and I think it's a really, really great palette. But there are several others that will do exactly what I'm gonna do with this palette today for the look I'm going for. Like literally, I looked through my palettes the other day just out of curiosity, and I could have created this look with about 10 of them. So you don't have to go out and buy a special palette. There's a good chance you already own something. Hey, sorry to mix classic and vintage. Those are the 2 lightest shades in the palette. So that's this crazy mess here and this crazy mess here. I just really drenched my brush in it. This is, whoo! Tap off that excess. And I'm just gonna start swirling that onto my eyelid. and kind of just pushing it in. So now that I have that smooth base on my eyelids, I'm gonna go ahead and start with my first transition shade. And I am gonna use the same brush that I just did all
that, you know, prepping with.
My transition shade, I'm gonna mix Whimsy, Innocent, Indie, and what the heck's this color called? And Bold. So those are the colors I'm gonna mix together to create my perfect transition shade. Do not try this for the first time on your wedding day. Whatever you're gonna do on your wedding day, please try ahead of time and know how they work and how they mix and all that jazz. All right. So just starting on the outside corner, just gonna place that there, and then in very small circular motions, just gonna little tiny twirls. Twirling and twirling and twirling. I'm gonna speed this up.
Windshield wipers, twirling, windshield wipers, twirling.
All right, guys, you guys get the idea. Very lightly, no heavy hands. You can slowly build up, because remember, you can always add more product. Very hard to blend out product that you don't want there that turned out too strong. So keep it soft, keep it gentle, slowly build. This is going to take some time. I'm gonna speed it up because you don't want to watch me do this for 10 minutes. But yeah, it can take 10 minutes, not per eye, both eyes all together. Alright guys, so for the moment, this is how intense I'm gonna leave that transition shade. I went in about 2 times on each eye to build it up to this intensity. Now I'm gonna go in back into that classic and vintage shade, which were the 2 lightest shades in the palette, and I'm just gonna take a flat brush, and I'm just gonna pat that right here all the way up into my lid space, right there, okay? What I did is I just tapped first, put the product on, and then I smoothed it out. That's it. Tap it on, smooth it out. Now going back to the brush that I used for my transition shade, without adding any more product, I'm just gonna start swirling again here, and just very windshield wiper very lightly across to blend those together so you don't get any harsh edges on your eyelid. Okay, now I'm ready to intensify it a little bit more. So now I'm gonna go into cooler tones and darker browns. I'm gonna blend these 3 first. So Indie, Bold, and Edgy. And what I'm gonna do is first kind of focus on these 2 with a slight tiny bit of Edgy. And then I'm gonna work in more and more of that dark brown color. So just taking a slightly smaller blending brush. Just tapping it first off right here in the corner. And then just kind of going back and forth, but super tiny little motions. Super, super tiny motions. And then pressing that right on into my crease and just very carefully creating a sharper line right there, right in the crease. The easiest way to do this is actually with your eye open. So you're getting right in that socket of your eye. I know that sounds creepy and weird, but that's the way it is. And then swirling, pressing down on that outer corner to create more intense levels. I'm really sorry about the noise outside, and I want to shut the window, but it is so hot in here already. I just can't. I really can't, so I apologize. Really subtle difference. I don't know if if it's capturing it on camera, but I hope so. But now I'm gonna go in with that dark brown and do exactly the same thing. So I'm gonna speed it up because I'm literally doing exactly the same thing, but with a dark brown. And I'm not gonna go in too intense. I'm gonna start off really light in the amount of product I grab. And then if I want more product, I'll just add more until it's as dark as I want it. So now that I smoke that out with that brown, I'm gonna go back into the light shades and that flat brush and define that lid space again to brighten it up again. Having that light shade again on the flat brush, just mixing those two light shades. Again, just patting that on the lid. Pat, 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 all the way to the inner corner, and then swipe it out. Back to that original transition brush, just gonna blend out those edges. So now I'm gonna move to the bottom lash line. Light blender brush, I'm gonna again mix what I used as the transition shade, which was Innocent and Whimsy, and I'm gonna put them underneath my lashes. Now going in with a flat, really tightly packed blending, smudger brush. Going in with a smudger brush, really tightly packed smudger brush. I'm gonna go in smoked, pack it onto this brush, and I'm just gonna do the outside of my eye. Now you guys see how that automatically intensified the eyes without having to do a deep, intense eyeliner. So we're gonna do the same thing to the upper lid. We're gonna use that smoke shade to line the eyes on the upper lid as well. Really packing it on the outer edge. I'm not trying to be neat with it right now because we're gonna blend that in to smoke out the outside of the eye even more. Now taking a precise blending brush that's kind of tapered at the end, I'm just gonna blend this out just a little bit. Okay guys, so at this point, I'm gonna make sure to wipe off any fallout that I had from the shadows and do the rest of my face makeup. And then of course, go back at the end and finish the details of the eye. Really important, if you had a lot of fallout, make sure you use a makeup wipe it all away. You don't wanna risk your fallout ruining the rest of your face makeup. For me, I didn't have a lot of fallout, so I'm just using a brush to kind of wipe away any little tiny fallout that I did have. First step on my face that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a brightening primer. This is the Smashbox one. This is their photo. This is the Smashbox one. It's the Photo Finish Foundation Primer with hyaluronic acid. I have super dry skin. For me, it's super important to try to stay as moisturized and illuminated as possible because my dry skin will make everything look dull pretty darn fast. So this is important for me. You really just have to know your skin type. Are you oily? Are you dry? Are you, all these things. So this is a step that many of you could probably skip. For me, I like doing it, especially when I'm wearing a lot of makeup. And that's that. And I just put it underneath my eyes and kind of on the upper part of my cheekbone, down my nose, forehead a little bit. And yeah, that's basically it. So now I feel like I just lightened up my face a little bit, brightened it up. Now I'm gonna take my two foundations I love mixing together. This has been my favorite foundation routine when it comes to heavier makeup. I feel like it lays really well and looks good throughout the day. So it's my Hourglass and my Makeup Forever HD, and I'm just gonna mix those babies together. I'm gonna use my foundation brush. This is just the Makeup Shack T40. And using pressing motions for the most part, but I am swiping a little because I use two different colors and I'm trying to mix them together after all. Making sure, really important, get that jawline and go underneath it. Do not be afraid to get your product underneath your jawline. Super important so you don't get this like cake face line, you know what I mean? Forgot to mention, will mention now, when you're doing the outside near your eyeshadows, be very careful not to ruin it. It's not the end of the world if you do mess it up a little bit. You can go back with a blender brush and just, woo! You can go back with the blender brush and smooth those edges, but if you kind of just do this from a distance here, you should be okay. And in fact, it should create a really nice little line of that shadow. And by line, I mean line that isn't really a harsh line. It's just like a slight line. That's okay. Now that I'm done punching myself in the face, let's move on. All right, guys, and now to make this last forever, like 12 hours, 15 hours, whatever amount of time you need this to look as perfect as possible, the trick is you layer. Everything that you normally would do with powders, do with cream or foundation colors first. So I'm gonna bronze with a darker foundation stick. I'm gonna highlight with a highlight cream stick, and I'm gonna blush myself up with a cream blush. The Maybelline Brighten Deepen Concealer in Deep, and I'm just gonna put that where I would normally contour / bronze. Right there, baby. Nose is optional, jawline is optional, forehead is optional. What I do not believe should be optional is you adding your dimension back into your cheekbones. I believe that is important to add a little bit of color back into your face that's gonna actually stay for a long time. Any cream blush will do. This is actually a brightening stick from NYX, but it has a nice bright orange color. So there we go. Chubby stick from Clinique. It's just a highlighter. Right there. Right down here too. And right there too. And while we're at it, let's just, you know, why not? I look like Neapolitan ice cream. Tasty. Switching to my beauty sponge, I'm gonna do the rest of this. Push this in and roll. Push and roll. Push and roll. Push and roll. Push and roll. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do my concealer. So Shape Tape in medium light is what I'm using, and I'm just gonna go right in there. I'm running out of this. I thought I had another one, but I can't find it. Brightening up the outer side of my nose, bringing that all the way to the side of my nose. As you can see, I did not blend out that nose contour all the way. I started and I stopped because So I didn't blend out the nose contour all the way because I like to blend it in when I do my concealer and when I do my highlighting with my cream, which is what I use the concealer for. So now going back to that sponge, just gonna start blending that in very slowly. I'm taking my time. I'm really just pressing that in to my face. Press it in. Press it, girl. That's right. Gonna speed this up for you all, but let me tell you, this does take some time. So take your time and very slowly, gently press all this product into your face. Let it just absorb. Now that all that cream is on the skin, I'm gonna actually take a setting spray and just spritz the heck out of my face and try to set all those creams in place before we start going in with powder. Taking my beauty sponge, I'm just gonna press that setting spray in. A lot of pressing going on. And that's because I'm trying to make this mask actually be part of my face. I'm going to take a setting powder. Once I feel that this is all dry, you might have to wait a few minutes. You can do your eyebrows or something else in the meantime. That's my recommendation. So actually, I'm gonna do that. All that has set in, and before it gets too creasy under the eyes, I'm gonna smooth it out with my sponge first. And then I'm gonna take a pressed powder, put my little sponge in it, and just work that in underneath my eyes first, because I want that to set before any creasing happens. Now I'm just gonna do a light layer of powder all over. In again. So I try to go very light on the powders and only put it exactly where I want it, exactly where I need it, and only just as much as I need it. That's it. If you have oily skin, you might be able to go a little bit heavier on the powders, but you still have to be careful because powders can make you get caked faced very quickly. So just heads up on the powder thing. I'm taking my Kat Von D Shade and Light. I'm gonna take the center shade, so this shade right here, and do some bronzing and contouring. Same place as I did with the cream. You can go in with your favorite blush. I'm just using Party from the Tarte Amazonian Clay Blush Collection. Starting on the back side of the cheekbone and then working it forward. You guys can put your blush on however you put your blush on, let me tell you. But this is how I do it. And if you're not used to wearing a lot of blush, this is how I recommend you do it. Now remember, this is going to look heavy. Give it a couple hours and it won't look as heavy. It's just with all the flash photography that's happening in a wedding, you need it to look a little bit heavier, especially at the beginning. So two things, it'll last longer and it'll look really good in pictures. I understand you don't want to look cake-faced in person, but trust me, you won't. Just start in layers and slowly build them. so that way you know when it's enough. Starting with that big blender brush, I'm gonna just make sure to smooth those edges again. Smooth, 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 smooth. Twirly, 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 just right there. I didn't add any product to the brush. I'm just smoothing edges right now. That is all I am doing. Thing going on, I can see what it looks like, and if I decide that this is exactly how I want it, I don't want it any more intense, then perfect. I'm just gonna add some lashes, mascara, finish my lips, done. However, I do want it more intense, so that's what I'm going to do. So now grabbing that tapered blending brush, I'm gonna go in to Edgy and Smoked. Very, very, very light-handedly into Smoked because that's the darkest brown. And I don't wanna go crazy. I also don't want fallout, so I am tapping the heck out of this brush to get that fallout off of the brush before it goes on my face. Just tapping it right there. And then very, very small twirls. There we go. And moving it up just a little bit. All right, guys, so I smoked that out a little bit more. And honestly, this is basically where you can absolutely stop for that perfect, soft glam, soft smoky, classic bridal look. Of course, assuming you're gonna add mascara and do your lips. But my recommendation is add a few individual false lashes. You don't have to go full glam and do a strip lash, but the individual false lashes are gonna make a really big difference and they do look natural. So that's one recommendation of a step you could add to this, aside from mascara, obviously. And then the other thing you could do is you could actually do a little inner corner highlight, a little brow bone highlight, and actually add some shimmer to this lid. So I am gonna add some of that, but know that if you didn't, this would still come out looking absolutely gorgeous and give you that very classic bridal look. So with that same flat brush that we did the light colors on the lid, I'm gonna go into Glam. Is this color right here. So that glam did not give me quite the intensity I wanted in shimmer. So I'm gonna take these two Makeup Geek shadows. This one has a pink tone and this is a gold tone. I'm gonna mix those together and put that on my lid. So at this point, you can add a little bit of bottom eyelash mascara, do your lips, and be done. But for me, I'm gonna add some false lashes. So I did pile them on. There's probably about 10 of them on this eye, but I did not do them on this eye. So you could tell the difference between just adding mascara and actually adding some individual false lashes. So there definitely is much more intensity on the right side of my face. I prefer it that way. Everyone is different, so it's a step that you can totally skip or you can put it in your routine. But I am gonna definitely do some bottom lash mascara. Don't worry about the lower mascara getting underneath because that's super easy to wipe off once the mascara dries down. All right, guys, when I come back, you're gonna see the final look all put together. Okay, so I almost forgot such an important part, at least for me, when it comes to bridal makeup, which is to make sure that you look as glowing as possible without looking overly shiny. The perfect highlighter for almost every bride that I have found is the Hourglass Luminous Light Powder. It is beautiful. It just lights you up, but without shimmer, without glitter. It's beautiful. So let me just, yeah, right there. Like a really healthy, youthful glow, but it's not like your typical highlighter. It is so subtle. final step. Spray it down. You gotta spray it down to make sure powders sink into your skin. This is the final look. Thank you so much for watching this today. I really, really, really enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoyed it too. I hope it was useful and resourceful. And until the next time, thanks. Bye.